Chapter 31 Her Contribution. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. After the white pill was taken into the mouth, a cool feeling immediately emitted, her itchy throat felt like it was wrapped in a pool of clear water, which made her feel much better. Mrs. Sue swallowed the pills directly without drinking any water. Cough, cough, cough. Suddenly he coughed again. She smiled bitterly. For a moment, she almost felt that the pill was working. Thinking too much, Mrs. Sue lay on the bed and closed her eyes. She has a neurological chronic cough. Over the past 20 years, she has taken many medicines and seen many experts, but nothing can be cured. Ashu. Ashu. Wake up. Mrs. Sue slowly opened her eyes and saw Su Wenzong standing beside the bed. The whole room was as bright as day. Are the incandescent lights in hospitals so bright? She was a little confused and asked, "What time is it?" 10 o'clock in the morning. Su Wenzong looked at her worriedly. You should eat something, otherwise you will have hypoglycemia. Mrs. Sue was confused. She turned her head in confusion and realized that the light in the room was not a light at all, but sunlight. She actually slept until dawn. How can it be? It's that bottle of medicine. That bottle of medicine Nange gave me. Next to her, Nan's mother's eyes were red with excitement. Madam, the sleeping pills the doctor gave you yesterday really worked. You actually slept for 10 hours. Mrs. Sue was stunned. What sleeping pills? Nan Ma looked at Su Yin. Master Huazichan found it for you. He heard that you couldn't sleep, so he specially found a powerful sleeping pill and added it to the medicine you took. We didn't tell you because we were afraid that you would keep thinking about it. I couldn't even sleep because of this. I didn't expect it to actually work. Mrs. Sue paused. Is that so? But sleeping pills only have the effect of aiding sleep. When she woke up today, she felt that her throat was much clearer. Her eyes fell on the pillow and looked at the unlabeled plastic bottle. Try again tonight. If you only take sleeping pills without taking this medicine, see what happens. Then you will know which medicine is working. Mrs. Sue thought so and said nothing. Su Wenzong looked at Su Yin and said happily, this son-in-law is really good. I heard that there has been a lot of flu recently, and the inpatient ward was full. There was no room available yesterday. It was Zichan who found many connections to arrange this ward. It's really thanks to him this time. Only then did Mrs. Sue realize that Huazichan had arranged the ward. What a good boy. Su Yin took advantage of the situation and said, Mom, Brother Zichan is so filial to you, please help him too. Mrs. Sue, how can I help? Su Wenzong thought, is Zichan having any difficulties at work? Su Yin nodded and sighed, my family wants Brother Zichan to manage the RD department, but the researchers in the RD department are all relying on their elders and are not very obedient to Brother Zichan. If Dr. Nan can be invited over, or just be a non-staff technician, with support, Brother Zichan will be able to gain a firm foothold. After Su Yin finished speaking, she looked at Mrs. Sue. Sure enough, I saw struggle and hesitation on her face. Mrs. Sue has her own principles in doing things and doesn't like to repay favors, but she is more afraid of owing favors. Mrs. Sue hesitated for a moment, then said, then I'll ask Dr. Nan, but if he doesn't agree, forget it. Su Yin said with a smile on her face, okay. According to her experience, whenever Mrs. Sue asked, Dr. Nan never refused. Mrs. Sue took out her mobile phone, found Dr. Nan's WeChat account, considered her words, and sent a message, Xiao Nan, are you free? I want to ask you a favor. When Su Nange received this message, he had just returned from walking downstairs with the little old lady. After seeing the news, she frowned. Why did Mrs. Sue suddenly come to see her? Is there something wrong with yesterday's medicine? Still have rejection reaction. The drug was actually still in the clinical trial stage. She originally wanted to wait until the experiment was over before giving it to Mrs. Sue. It was obvious that Mrs. Sue was seriously ill, so she took it out in advance. She was a little anxious, so she asked the nurse to take the little old lady back to the ward, and then hurried to Mrs. Sue's side. Hua Beiyan, who was working outside, saw his grandma coming in. He glanced back subconsciously, but didn't see the slender figure. His eyes deepened. Where is Miss Sue? The little old lady heard this and said, go to her mother's place. Hua Beiyan raised his eyebrows. Something happened to Mrs. Su? That the little old lady immediately became nervous. My granddaughter-in-law did run over just now. Oh, you brat, go and have a look. Hua Beiyan pursed his lips. After thinking for a moment, he stood up and walked out. Yi hurriedly followed behind him. Su Nange quickly ran into Mrs. Su's ward, only to find that there were many people in the ward. Not only is Hua Zichen here, but also Li Wanru is here. I don't know who said what, but everyone was laughing. But the laughter in the room stopped abruptly the moment she entered the door. Su Nange stood at the door and found that he was superfluous. Mrs. Su looks fine. She narrowed her eyes and lowered her head to leave. Mrs. Su wanted to call someone to stop, but when she glanced at the group of people in the room, she knew that it was indeed appropriate for her to leave now. If she had time, she could meet Nange alone, but Li Wanru said, "Hey, isn't this Miss Su?" "What? If you climb up to Mrs. Hua's high branch, we people can't get into your eyes?" Su Nange said nothing, turned around and wanted to leave, but was grabbed by Li Wanru. "I heard that you are now obsessed with pleasing Mrs. Hua. You spend all night peeing in front of her bed. Do you think that people will treat you as their own granddaughter? What are you daydreaming about? You are just a member of the family." "Plaything," Su Yin said hurriedly, "don't say that, Madame Hua values Nange very much." Li Wanru's voice immediately rose. "What kind of respect is that? Master Zichen values you so much." Li Wanru looked at Hua Zichen flatteringly. "I heard that the ward couldn't be vacated yesterday. Several people with good family backgrounds had to wait in line if they wanted to be hospitalized. It was all thanks to Master Zichen's help. That allowed my wife to be admitted to the VIP ward." Hua Zichen looked at Su Nange and smiled humbly. "My uncle doesn't know about this, otherwise he would have helped. I'm just trying my best. Your little effort has helped our family a lot." Li Wanru mocked Su Nange again. "Even if Mr. Hua knew about it, he wouldn't take you seriously. No matter how much you try to please him, he will just tease you like a cat or a dog." Su Nange clenched his fists, but he didn't want to argue here, so as not to disturb Mrs. Su's rest again. Hua Beiyan, who had just walked outside the door, heard all these words. He looked coldly and glanced at Yi. Yi instantly understood what the boss meant and coughed directly and entered the room. "Mrs. Su, on behalf of Mr. Hua, I'd like to express my condolences. Are you comfortable living in this ward?" Chapter 32 Mrs. Su tests the efficacy of medicine. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. The room fell silent for a moment. Everyone looked at Yi and then at Hua Zichen. Hua Zichen looked stunned. Could it be that this ward was arranged by my uncle? Li Wanru was also stunned, and quickly recovered and said with a smile, "Master Zichen, it turns out that you asked Mr. Hua to arrange this ward." Hua Zichen's expression froze. Yi smiled and said, "Miss Su asked the boss to arrange this." "Master Zichen, did you also ask the boss?" Hua Zichen was embarrassed and wanted to find a hole in the ground to crawl in. He explained incoherently, "I made a lot of calls and found several people. They said they would help. I misunderstood." Su Yin only felt embarrassed. She clenched her fists tightly, and for the first time she felt that Hua Zichen was not so superior. The weird atmosphere was finally broken by Mrs. Su. She coughed a few times and said to Yi, "Thank you, Mr. Hua, I live here very well. When I feel better, I will go visit the old lady." Yi said, "If you live well, Miss Su won't worry, and our old lady will be happy. Those who engage in business are all smart people. Who can't tell that this is meant to praise Su Nange?" The hearts of several people in the room sank slightly. Unexpectedly, Mrs. Hua valued Su Nange so much. Only Mrs. Su was truly happy. She was always worried when Nange was alone outside, but the identities of the two were delicate, so she couldn't be too close. Now that Mrs. Hua treats her sincerely, she feels relieved. Su Nange was slightly surprised. She didn't expect that it was Hua Beiyan who helped. She looked at Li Wanru, her lips slightly raised. The mockery is evident. Li Wanru was angered by her appearance. "You bastard, what are you so proud of? Don't think it's great if you have someone to back you up. Shut up." Su Wenzong yelled angrily, "My wife is sick and needs to rest. Why are you barking here? Go home. Li Wanru choked and looked aggrieved. Wenzong, I. Roll. Li Wanru's face turned red, she glared at Su Nange fiercely, turned around and ran out. After she left, Su Nange looked at Mrs. Su. Madam, how did you sleep last night? That when Mrs. Su heard this, her hand unconsciously held the small medicine bottle hidden under the quilt, and said slowly, I slept well. I haven't slept so well in a long time. That's good. Su Nange didn't explain much, just nodded to her, I'll leave first. Good. Su Nange and Yi went out and saw Hua Beiyan standing in the corridor. The man wears a suit and tie, and the trousers outline his long and straight legs. He looks gentlemanly and ascetic. He was leaning against the wall, looking down at his mobile phone. His black hair covered his sharp eyebrows, and his side face was reflected in the light, with clear and cold outlines. As if he heard the voice, the man turned his head to look. The narrow eyes raised at the end of his eyes were as deep as ice, and his thin crimson lips parted lightly. Grandma is worried, she insists on letting me come and see for myself. Although the words were distant, his deep and pleasant voice made Su Nange's heart warm. She smiled sincerely and said, thank you. The girl's peach blossom eyes are clear, with a pure and casual charm. The smile on the corner of his lips was even brighter, dazzling Hua Beiyan for a moment. At this time, Hua Zichen's voice came from the ward. Aunt, since you're fine, I'll leave first. Okay. Send it off. The ward door opened, and Hua Zichen and Su Yin walked out. They saw Hua Beiyan and Su Nange at a glance. Su Yin suddenly felt as if she was facing a formidable enemy, and her eyes flicked across the two of them carefully, as if speculating on their relationship. Hua Zichen's face also darkened, and he subconsciously asked, Uncle, why are you here? Hua Beiyan's face became more interesting. It seems that I don't need to report my whereabouts to you. It was a simple sentence, but it was like a layer of invisible pressure came over me. Hua Zichen's palms suddenly became sweaty. That's not what I meant. He took a deep breath and looked at Su Nange. There is an unbridled beauty in the girl's face. Hua Beiyan also had a good skin. Standing together, the two looked like a talented man and a beautiful woman, a match made in heaven. A strong jealousy arose in Hua Zichen's heart, and he couldn't help but speak again. Miss Su, you have been taking care of Grandma in the hospital. Does your husband mind? Su Nange. She subconsciously glanced at Hua Beiyan and said with a half-smile, I probably don't mind. Hua Zichen's expression changed drastically. What else was about to say? Hua Beiyan suddenly said, go back to the ward. Grandma is waiting for you. Back to. Su Nange paused slightly. She hadn't heard this word for a long time, because she has no home. Lowering her eyes, she smiled slightly and said, go back. The two turned and left. Hua Zichen stared at Su Nange's back with evil eyes. For a moment, he had the urge to snatch her back at all costs. But Su Yin held his arm. Brother Zichen, I will definitely help you find Dr. Nan. Hua Zichen seemed to have finally returned to his senses. Okay. Then I'll take you downstairs. After sending the person away, Su Yin felt a deep sense of crisis. When she returned to the ward, she saw Mrs. Su getting up and moving, her eyes flashing. She walked to the hospital bed and pretended to tidy up the bedding, and then exclaimed, Mom, why is there a bottle of medicine on your bed? Su Wenzong frowned. Isn't this the Sanwa medicine that Su Nange gave me? Ah Shu, why did you pick it up? Mrs. Su explained, I took one pill last night and it seemed to be useful. How is that possible? It's obviously the sleeping pill that worked. Su Wenzong grabbed the medicine bottle and said disgustedly, I don't know where I got the medicine she gave me, how could I take it randomly? You are not afraid of eating it and damaging your body. Mrs. Su said hurriedly, don't throw it away. I won't take it tonight. I'll try it to see which medicine works. Su Wenzong was helpless. Okay. It's night time soon. Nanma held the sleeping pill in her hand as carefully as if she was holding a miracle elixir. After watching Mrs. Su take it, she turned off the light and walked out the door quietly. The room fell silent. Half an hour later, there was still no movement inside. Nan's mother said excitedly, Master Zichen's medicine simply saved my wife's life. My wife has not slept for a full night in more than 20 years. Su Yin pretended to be ashamed. stop talking, Brother Zichen didn't arrange the ward. There was a big scandal today. Su Wenzong heard this and said, compared with the ward, this medicine is the most important. Otherwise, even if Shu lives in the presidential palace, he still can't sleep. Besides, even though Zichen has helped so much, he has never been like Su Nange. You also specially found Assistant Yi to show off, do you want us to be grateful? After finishing speaking, he looked at the bottle of medicine given by Su Nange with disgust. Sister Nan, get rid of this mess of medicine quickly, so that Shu won't take it randomly again. Almost as soon as he said these words, a violent cough that had been suppressed for a long time came from the ward. Chapter 33 Su Nange is Dr. Nan. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. Su Wenzong was slightly startled. He and Nanma looked at each other and immediately rushed into the ward. One of the characteristics of neurological cough is that it gets worse every night. Nanma turned on the light. A few people saw Mrs. Su half sitting. She was covering her mouth, her face turning red from coughing. She clutched her chest, her thin body shaking violently with every cough, which was frightening to watch. Su Wenzong held her shoulders and said, Shu, how are you? But Mrs. Su said, medicine, cough cough cough. Su Wenzong was puzzled, but Nan's mother understood, rushed out and took Su Nange's medicine bottle and walked in. Madam, the medicine is here. Mrs. Su nodded, and Nan Ma opened the medicine bottle nervously, took out a pill and was about to hand it to her, but Su Yin held her hand. Su Yin frowned and said, Mom's cough suddenly worsened. Could it be caused by this medicine? It's better not to take this medicine of unknown origin. Her intuition told her that this medicine might really work. So she can't let Mrs. Su eat it. She looked at Su Wenzong. When one person is prejudiced against another person, then whatever that person does is wrong. Su Nange is Li Wanru's daughter, which is Su Wenzong's biggest prejudice against her. As expected, Su Wenzong said angrily, this Su Nange is more likely to fail than succeed. I have long said that she is unreliable. Shu, you are so kind to her, but she actually uses medicine to harm you. Su Yin felt happy. Mrs. Su took advantage of her coughing break to look at Nanma. Give me the medicine. Cough cough cough. Nan's mother was the most loyal to her. After hearing this, she directly handed the pills to Mrs. Su, who immediately stuffed them into her mouth. Shu! Su Wenzong exclaimed and wanted to stop him, but found Mrs. Su had stopped coughing. After she stopped coughing, she breathed a long sigh of relief, then looked at them with frowning eyebrows and said firmly, I'm sure it's Nange's medicine that worked. After Mrs. Su stopped coughing and actually fell asleep, they went outside again. Su Yin's face turned pale. She bit her lip and said, Dad, Nangu is so amazing. He actually bought a special medicine. If she has any abilities, she must have asked Mr. Hua to help buy it. Su Wenzong frowned. It seems that Mrs. Hua really values her. Su Yin immediately clenched her fingers. In the VIP ward. What did you eat for lunch today? The little old lady racked her brains and thought, white porridge. It doesn't seem to be, it's noodles. Brat, right? Hua Beiyan smiled and nodded, yes. The little old lady said proudly, I just said that there is no problem with me, my brain is good. Hua Beiyan said nothing. If you look carefully, you can see that his smile does not reach his eyes. In fact, we had rice for lunch, but Grandma forgot again. Her condition seems to be getting worse and her memory is beginning to deteriorate. At this time, Su Nange suddenly spoke lazily, Grandma, what color was Mr. Hua's tie yesterday? The little old lady immediately said, purple. The brat is the most elegant. He also wears diamond cufflinks. What about the day before yesterday? It was blue the day before yesterday. I bought that blue tie for him. Su Nange smiled slightly, looked at Hua Beiyan and said pointedly, Grandma remembers the things she cares about very clearly. Hua Beiyan looked at her. The girl sat on the beanbag, sinking into it. She had a lazy posture, lowering her head and fiddling with her mobile phone. Her waterfall-like black hair was casually scattered behind her, making her skin look fairer and fairer, making her whole figure look soft as if it had been illuminated. What she just said was to comfort him. The anxious heart was slowly soothed. The little old lady suddenly smiled. My granddaughter-in-law, what I just said is correct, right? Su Nange, yes. The little old lady looked at Hua Beiyan. You brat, did you see that? My granddaughter-in-law remembers so clearly what you wear every day. She has you in her heart, Su Nange. She just has a photographic memory and really doesn't remember these on purpose. She wanted to explain something, but she saw Hua Beiyan looking at the computer in front of him and ignoring them at all. Did you not listen to what the little old lady said? Then I won't explain it, lest it seem like there is no 300 taels of silver here. Su Nange didn't notice that the base of the man's ears was a little red. She focused on the work on her phone again. She really had no clue about the final finishing work of Alzheimer's disease. She simply stood up and said, I'm going to go for a walk. As he was walking downstairs with his Shiba Inu kitten in his arms, Su Nange was tapped on the shoulder. When she turned around, she saw an arrogant middle-aged man standing behind her, looking at her with a smile. Niece, long time no see. Su Nange's face turned cold. This person is Li Wanru's younger brother, her uncle Li Xinquan. He is unemployed and addicted to gambling. There was a foul stench coming out of his mouth when he spoke, and the sight of his big yellow teeth made people feel sick. Su Nange took a step back. What are you doing here? Li Xinquan rubbed his hands and said obscenely, Oh, didn't I hear that you, my eldest niece, are fawning over the Hua family? My uncle's money is a little tight recently. Can you lend me some money? Su Nange sneered. Li Wanru is a devil of supporting her younger brother. She stayed in the Su family and sponsored her younger brother with all the living expenses provided by the Su family. After Su Nange left the Su family, Li Xinquan shamelessly went to her many times to ask for money. It was probably after seeing that she really had no money that she finally stopped. I didn't expect to come here again now, Su Nange said. No money. Li Xinquan didn't believe it. You served that old woman so well, and she didn't even give you any money? Su Nange narrowed his eyes. I haven't given it yet, but maybe I will give it some in the future. Li Xinquan immediately laughed. Then you must lend it to uncle. If you give more, uncle can tell you a secret. Okay. Li Xinquan didn't dare to act bad here. After all, the people living in this VIP ward were either rich or expensive. There were security guards patrolling not far away. He left with a smile. Su Nange sneered. At this time, her cell phone rang, and she picked it up and found that it was Mrs. Su. She answered immediately. Su Yin walked around the room anxiously. If she wants to gain a foothold in the Hua family, she relies on Dr. Nan. But all day today, Dr. Nan did not reply to Mrs. Su's message. Hua Zichen sent a few more WeChat messages and kept asking about Dr. Nan. He couldn't delay it any longer. Su Yin suddenly stopped and quietly entered the ward. She took the mobile phone from the sleeping Mrs. Su and went out to the corridor. She took a deep breath, turned on her phone, found Xiaonan in her address book, and then dialed the other party directly. The phone rang 3 times before it was answered. The other party said in a cold voice, Hey, Mrs. Su, are you okay? Su Yin was stunned when she heard this voice. This voice. Su Nange. Chapter 34 Nonsense. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. Su Yin's eyes widened in shock and she looked at the phone in disbelief. She couldn't admit that voice. The person on the other end of the phone paused for a moment, and then his voice became even colder. Su Yin, what are you doing with Mrs. Su's cell phone? That is her. Su Yin felt as if she had seen a ghost. No, this is impossible. She looked at the phone suddenly thought of something, and asked, Is this your phone number? Su Nange, what nonsense are you talking about? Su Yin suddenly realized. She almost forgot that Su Nange also had the word Nan in her name, and Mrs. Su would occasionally call her Xiaonan. She immediately breathed a sigh of relief, and then she became extremely angry. You are such a flatterer. In order to please my mother, you put my mother's last name in your name. Do you deserve to be called Nan? Su Nange downstairs lowered his eyes. She chose the name herself when she was in elementary school. This Nan is indeed the surname of Mrs. Su Nan Jingshu. I was young at the time, so I just liked it and never thought about whether it would cause trouble to Mrs. Su. The daughter of a mistress took her own surname as her name. How Mrs. Su felt at that time is unknown to her now. She said calmly, Is this why you called? Of course not. Su-in on the phone tore off the disguise and said viciously, I just want to tell you that even if you get Mr. Hua through Mrs. Hua, you are just a lover or a toy at best. Hua the husband has a wife. But I am different, I will marry Brother Zichin in the future and become the upright young lady of the Hua family. Su Nange, then, congratulations. Su-in felt like she was being punched on cotton. She finally said a harsh word, a wealthy family doesn't just talk about relationships. With Dr. Nan in my hand, I will always be invincible. After hanging up the phone, Su Nange twitched the corner of his mouth. When did she become one of Su Yin's generals? While I was thinking, the WeChat phone rang again. This time it was Mrs. Su who called Dr. Nan on WeChat. Su Nange operated on her phone and chose to answer. She said calmly, hello. A changed voice came through the phone. The appearance of her uncle Li Xingquan made her understand that it was better to keep a low profile on some things to avoid being entangled by strange relatives. Su-in said respectfully, hello, Dr. Nan, I take the liberty to disturb you. I am Su-in, Nan Jingshu's daughter. I am making this voice call to say that Hua Group wants to invite you to their research and development team. Mom means the same thing, may I ask you? Not interested. Su Nange interrupted her coldly. Su-in paused and wanted to say something else, but Su Nange had already spoken. I am only responsible for the company under Mrs. Su's name. After saying this, she hung up the phone directly. On Monday, Su Nange left the Shiba Inu puppy with the little old lady and went to work as expected. After leaving the hospital gate, when she was debating whether to take a taxi or take the subway, the Bentley luxury car slowly parked next to her. Hua Beiyan looked forward and said calmly, get in the car. Su Nange refused, it's not convenient. The relationship between the two is not that good yet, Hua Beiyan said slowly, Grandma asked me to take you to work. Just say you gave it away. Hua Beiyan glanced at her, I want to take pictures. Fine. Su Nange opened the back door and sat next to Hua Beiyan. Hua Beiyan raised his phone and pointed it at the two of them. Su Nange made a yeah gesture and smiled sweetly. She turned her head, and a few strands of hair flew past, sweeping into Hua Beiyan's face, making him freeze for a moment as if he had been electrocuted. Yi, who was sitting in the passenger seat, hesitated for a moment. When he went out, he didn't seem to hear the old lady's request. I must have missed it. After taking the photo, Su Nange sat upright, took out his mobile phone and started working. The two of them were silent all the way to the Hua Group's underground parking lot. Hua Beiyan took the CEO's exclusive elevator and left with Yi. Su Nange took the employee elevator and came to the RD department. At this time, the managers of the RD department were having a meeting in the office, and the atmosphere was tense. The general manager of the RD department announced a job transfer. After the decision of the company's senior management, team leader Hua Zichin has been promoted to vice president, and will be responsible for the technical aspects of the RD department in the future. Someone asked, why was the announcement so sudden? The general manager said, Vice President Hua successfully hired Dr. Nan to be the technical support of our RD department, which is a big deal for the RD department. Although Dr. Nan is not at work, if you have any questions, you can ask Vice President Hua to communicate solved. Okay, now let Vice President Hua say a few words. Hua Zichin stood up, and the young and energetic man said directly, from now on, the RD staff of the first and second groups will obey my orders. Team leader Jiang, you won't violate the company's regulations, right? Jiang Yingxiao, who worked overtime at the company on weekends and stayed up 2 all-nighters, was dressed in casual clothes and had a grumpy face. He said coldly, the company also has a rule that you are not allowed to report or assign tasks beyond the level, so my staff, you can only arrange it through me. Hua Zichin's face darkened. Team leader Jiang, I think you don't have that much energy to manage a group of employees. Have you solved your core problem? Although the RD department is divided into groups, it is still a whole. You have been unable to solve it. It affects the progress of the entire project. Jiang Yingxiao pulled up his chair and stood up suddenly. You are also studying new energy. You should know how difficult research and development is. You talk as if you can solve my core problem. Hua Zichin was in no hurry. I can't solve it, but I have someone who can solve it. Do you need me to ask Dr. Nan to help you? Jiang Yingxiao sneered. are you so kind, that there was a sinister glint in Huazichen's eyes, they are all in the RD department. Of course I will take care of them, but I need to communicate with Dr. Nan that I need a technician from your team to take care of me, just the new intern. How about that? Jiang Yingqiao knew that his target was Su Nange. He said coldly, no matter what, I'd better take my time by myself. I won't bother you to consult Dr. Nan. Huazichen's face darkened. Team leader Jiang, don't think that you can do whatever you want here just because of your uncle. It's your dereliction of duty that has slowed down the progress of the entire RD department. I'll give you 2 more days, if it's not solved yet that question, then I will have you fired or demoted. Jiang Yingqiao walked directly out, then let's see if you have this ability. He sounded arrogant in the office, but as soon as he left the house, Jiang Yingqiao's expression turned cold. He knew that if Huazichen really brought it up, Huo Beiyan would be in trouble if he wanted to protect him. Jiang Yingqiao entered a group in the RD department and kicked his chair irritably. Zhang Chao, who was late for work, walked quietly to his workstation. For fear of provoking this living hell, he turned on his phone, opened his mailbox, and saw an unread email. The email Su Nange sent him, did she really solve the core problem? Chapter 35 Solution. You are listening at NovelFold.audio. No way. That kind of core problem cannot be solved for a while by a doctor like Jiang Yingqiao who returned from studying abroad. As an undergraduate, no matter how talented Professor Liang praises him, how can he solve this problem? Zhang Chao thought of this, slid the mouse with his right hand, opened the email, and was slightly stunned. Boom! Jiang Yingqiao slammed the heavy documents in his hand on the table, raised his chin slightly, meeting. Zhang Chao did not respond immediately, but stared at the email. Zhang Chao. But is stuck to the chair. Jiang Yingqiao was in a bad mood. Seeing his slow movements, he roared angrily. Zhang Chao glanced at the content of the email and found that it was a blank document. He immediately stood up and said, Here. The school girl really didn't solve the problem. She probably clicked the wrong button accidentally on the blank email. After he left the computer, the attachment that had just been buffered in the email was downloaded and lay quietly on the interface. Inside the office, Jiang Yingqiao frowned and briefly talked about the situation at the meeting just now. He did not mention Su Nange, but said, after 2 days, if this core issue cannot be solved, I will take the blame and resign. As soon as these words came out, the office suddenly became dull. Jiang Yingqiao had a bad temper and often scolded them, but he was a qualified team leader, and no one in the group was dissatisfied with him. After everyone was silent for a moment, they spoke one by one. Team leader, just tell me, what can I do? Yes, I won't sleep for the next 2 days, and we will live here and fight to the death. Jiang Yingqiao arranged the work, and the workload of each employee increased several times, but no one complained. It wasn't until the meeting was over that Jiang Yingqiao felt that something was missing. He suddenly looked at Zhang Chao. Where is Su Nange? It's already time for work, why aren't people here? Zhang Chao shook his head, but another person said, she came here this morning to check in and go to the resource library. Jiang Yingqiao's face turned pale immediately. He was here fighting Huazichen for her, but the woman actually ran out again. Someone couldn't help but said, Team leader, she is so ungrateful. How much work experience can you gain by working on projects with us? Zhang Chao didn't agree with the schoolgirl's approach, but he still spoke for her. She just graduated and doesn't understand this. Besides, our stuff is too profound for her, and she probably won't be able to understand it. We are a team. Even if you don't understand, you should still stay and take action at critical moments, right? Getting paid for nothing and not working. How can this be possible? That's right, what's going on with this girl? Our group is going to start raising idle people. Jiang Yingqiao took a deep breath and felt that Su Nange was ungrateful. Top floor, Yi has been paying attention to the situation downstairs. He knows more than the other people in the group and is complaining to Huo Beiyan. Jiang Yingqiao is very busy for her, but she is good. She spent the whole morning reading books in the library leisurely. What a beauty! Huo Beiyan frowned and glanced at her with his cool eyes, watched her all morning. Yes, I just punched in and went. I haven't had lunch yet. What book? I didn't pay attention to this. It's probably a paper on new energy, right? Estimate? Hwabayan's voice was obviously displeased, which made Yi shudder, but he suddenly realized, her goal has been the library since she went to work, so the purpose of her entering the Hwa group is to look up information. Which book you read is particularly important. Yi lowered his head. I'll go check it out right now. Hwabayan had already stood up. He buttoned up his suit and strode out, leaving only one sentence, no need to follow. He quickly came to the library and found her among the books classified on the subject of head neurology. She raised her head and her eyes quickly passed over a row of books, then settled on the top floor of the library, as if she saw something. Her eyes lit up, she dragged a ladder from the side, stepped on it and stretched her arms to get the book. She wore a loose hoodie and tight jeans today. This action at this moment made her hoodie slide up, revealing the complete line of her legs. From Hwabayan's perspective, her legs were thin and straight, her jeans wrapped around her round buttocks, and then she had a fair waist. Hwabayan paused for a moment and slowly looked away. That touch of fair skin seemed to be engraved in his mind. At the same time, a thought came to his mind, the waist is so thin, he can wrap it up with one palm, right? Nange didn't notice him at all. After getting the book, she flipped through it casually, and her eyes suddenly lit up. The book she was looking for was this one. In her excitement, she momentarily forgot to step on the ladder and tried to walk to the seat next to her. However, she missed the step and fell down uncontrollably. This is terrible. As soon as Nange had this thought, he fell into a warm and strong arms. Only then did she realize that it was Hwabayan who caught her. The two of them were very close, and the man's refreshing vanilla masculine scent lingered on the tip of his nose. His big hands dragged her but the hot temperature of his palms penetrated through the thin jeans. Nange's heartbeat suddenly slowed down by half a beat, and a feeling of embarrassment surged into his heart. But she understood that he didn't mean it, it was just a coincidence. Nange hurriedly jumped to the ground and stabilized his heartbeat. Mr. Hwa, thank you very much. A suspicious blush stained her cheeks. Hwabayan was stunned and subconsciously looked at his empty palm. The girl was very light and soft. The touch just now made his mouth suddenly dry. For the first time, a man who had been in the business world for many years felt a little at a loss. He lowered his eyes, trembling his eyelashes, and said restrainedly, "You're welcome." The atmosphere was a little awkward for a while. Nange coughed. I suddenly remembered that there seems to be something wrong in the RD department, so I should take the first step. Good. Nange obtained his permission, hid the book he had just found in an inconspicuous corner, for fear of being borrowed by others, and then left the library. By the time she got to the elevator, her face was still a little hot. Nange ate something casually and returned to the scientific research department. As soon as I walked in, I immediately noticed something was wrong. Colleagues who were quite enthusiastic towards her at first seemed to not see her at this moment. Nange didn't know why. He just thought that everyone was unfamiliar with her. In the afternoon, she went to the library again, but he was stopped by Zhang Chao, who whispered, "Don't go there this afternoon." Why? Nange was puzzled. Don't you mean that you can go after you finish the work that should be done? Zhang Chao immediately looked around and saw strange looks from his colleagues. He also felt impatient and said seriously, "Yes, you can go after you finish the work, but have you completed the work assigned to you last week?" "It's done." "I know it's difficult. You won't be able to figure it out for a while, so you need to stay here." "What did you say?" Chapter 36 Shock. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. Zhang Chao was stunned and looked at her in disbelief. Nange said calmly, "I said, it was completed and sent to your email last Friday." Zhang Chao swallowed. "Isn't that a blank email?" Nange. Zhang Chao suddenly understood something, and immediately rushed to his workstation, looked at the mailbox on the computer, and sure enough he saw the attachment. But he still couldn't believe it and opened the attached content almost tremblingly. The research and development of new energy is different from software code. Not only do you need to use computer simulators, but you also need to go into the laboratory with real weapons. Nange helped him complete the task assigned to him by the team last Friday. so he had been helping Jiang Yingxiao in the laboratory all morning, so he didn't notice it, after the attachment was downloaded. Zhang Chao couldn't wait to read it. At this sight, he was completely immersed in the report on the computer. The knowledge on the application of core technologies is a bit complicated, and some of them even take him a long time to understand. Seeing that he didn't speak, Su Nange was about to take the elevator to the 60th floor database. The elevator came, and as soon as she entered, several members of a group entered the elevator. The RD department and the laboratory are on different floors of the building, and they have their own tasks to do. Dee. The elevator suddenly alarmed and it was overloaded. Someone said directly, "Su Nange, get down." There was dissatisfaction in his tone. Su Nange was stunned, then raised his head. "I'm not the last one to come up." The man sneered and said, "Although that's the case, work has to be done on a first-come, first-served basis. We are busy rushing to meet deadlines." "You are so leisurely and not busy, so what's wrong with giving in?" that the others immediately echoed. "That's right, you don't need to work anyway, you just want to read a book. Go down quickly, don't waste our time here. The team leader is still waiting for us. Will you be responsible if we are late?" Su Nange frowned, sensing the hostility of this group of people. Although she didn't understand what was going on, she took a deep breath and finally walked out of the elevator. There is no need to argue about this kind of dispute. She is also a research and development staff member, and she is so irritable when she knows that she cannot solve the problem. Not to mention that there are 8 elevators in total, so it is just a waste of time. As the elevator door closed, someone in the group suddenly whispered, "Did we go a little too far just now? Who makes her look so helpless? She doesn't do any work, but in the end we have achieved results and she still has a share. How can such a good thing happen?" Su Nange entered the 60th floor from another elevator and couldn't wait to walk to where he kept his books. "As long as you study carefully, you will be able to solve Grandma's problem as soon as possible." But then, she discovered that her book was missing. Su Nange. She hurriedly searched for it on the bookshelf, but could not see the book. No one around is reading this book. Obviously, books in the Hua group's database cannot be borrowed. Where have the books gone? Suddenly, she understood something. In the entire company, only one person can take the book away from here. Top floor. Hua Beiyan was frowning as he flipped through the thick book in his hand. The above is about neurology. Because of his grandma's health, he had briefly understood this, but this book seemed profound and difficult to understand. He didn't know why Su Nange was reading this. Yi reported Su Nange's situation downstairs in detail, and then said, "Boss, Su Nange did whatever he wanted just because the old lady was good to her. You also specially arranged a professional counterpart department for her, that is wanting her to study hard and giving her a chance, is simply disrespectful. She wasn't even here to work." Hua Beiyan said coldly, and then put down the book in his hand. "Yi. Why does it feel like the boss is speaking for her? It must be his illusion." He asked, "Since I can't see anything from this book, do you want to return it?" Hua Beiyan tapped his fingers on the book, thinking of the anticipation in the girl's peach blossom eyes when she saw it today, and suddenly thought of the firm and round touch in her hands when her arms were full of warm fragrance. His mouth suddenly became dry. No need for now. Su Nange originally wanted to go upstairs to find Hua Beiyan to get a book, but then he remembered the hug between the two of them today, and suddenly felt a little embarrassed. She eventually returned to the RD department slowly. As soon as he got out of the elevator, he caught a glimpse of Jiang Yingxiao and a group of members drinking coffee in the rest area to refresh themselves. They all looked tired. Seeing Su Nange's leisurely look, someone finally couldn't help but say, "Su Nange, this is a company, not a mall for you to sneak around." "That's right, we are all so busy now, why don't you come and help? Do you understand how much work experience you can gain by participating in our project? We are all in the same team, and everyone will be honored. Once the project is completed, even the bonus will be shared equally. We have never looked down on you as an intern, but you can't be too harsh as a human being, right? You just want to get your salary for nothing and do nothing. Although you are a related household, we have never cared about your lack of ability and want to guide you well, but your inactivity and sabotage are too much." Su Nange paused and asked seriously, "Is there anything I can help with?" If you don't understand technical matters, then you should at least help us with some chores, print some things, or run errands and order coffee. Nange frowned when he heard this. Sorry, this is not within the scope of my work. She has been working since junior high school, so she certainly understands the rules of the workplace. The salary offered to her by the whole group was indeed not bad, but the 3 jobs she did last Friday were already worthy of that salary. She had no idea that the small problem she finally solved was the core problem that the whole group was struggling with. After leaving these words, Nange was about to enter the office. Colleagues in one group were angered by her words. Who is he? He has no ability, and he is still acting like a young lady here. Why are you so arrogant? I really don't understand why the company would recruit such a person. Jiang Yingxiao listened to these words and frowned even more when looking at Nange's indifferent expression. He wanted to help Nange, but this woman's appearance was too rotten to be carved. It's a shame that he was like an idiot for standing up to Huazichan for her sake. Jiang Yingxiao slammed the table and said angrily, Nange, if you don't want to do this, get out. This group doesn't support idle people. Zhang Chao in the office had an expression on his face that was almost infatuated at the moment. He opened his eyes wide and stared excitedly at the emails on his computer. He finally understood. Zhang Chao stood up suddenly, rushed to the door, and grabbed Jiang Yingxiao's arm excitedly. Chapter 37 Touched. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. It's solved. It's really solved, Zhang Chao shouted excitedly. She actually solved it. Jiang Yingxiao was slightly stunned, then frowned. What are you crazy about? The other group members also looked at him impatiently. Zhang Chao, what are you doing? What happened to you this afternoon? We were all busy in the laboratory, but you were nowhere to be seen. What did you solve? It won't solve our core problem, right? As soon as these words came out, Zhang Chao nodded immediately. Yes, the problem is solved. He dragged Jiang Yingxiao to his workstation and pointed to the computer. Team leader, look. We haven't solved it before because we thought wrong. In fact, it can be like this. He briefly explained the problem-solving ideas he had just understood. After he finished speaking, the entire group was shocked. So it can still be like this. Zhang Chao, okay, you are so awesome. Hahaha, the team leader doesn't need to take the blame and resign. While everyone was amazed, Jiang Yingxiao stared at the computer and suddenly noticed that the email was sent by Nange. He was stunned for a moment and looked at Zhang Chao in surprise. The solution is. It was submitted by Nange. She handed it to me last Friday, but I was off work at the time, so I didn't have time to read it. As soon as Zhang Chao said this, all the members of the group immediately looked at Nange in disbelief. How come? The problem they had been studying for a month was easily solved by the young girl in front of them. Last Friday, she just joined the job. Nange stood there quietly, with an aura of alienation and indifference surrounding him. There was a hint of surprise in a pair of peach blossom eyes, and she said in an indifferent voice, so this is the problem you have been struggling with, crowd. Why can I see 2 words from the girl's expression at this moment? That's it. Everyone swallowed their saliva, still feeling in disbelief. Aren't you an undergraduate? Hearing this, Nange looked serious and said slowly, ability is not determined by academic qualifications. Everyone was in awe for a moment. After a moment of silence, someone spoke up, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have treated you like that in the elevator. I'm not right either. I shouldn't have said that you got your salary in vain. You alone did the work of a group of us. I also said that asking you to come and learn from me is really overestimating your abilities. At your level, you will definitely not be able to learn anything from us. It's us dogs who look down on others. We are all RD personnel with simple minds. Nange can distinguish between good and bad, and knows that these people who said something about her before were just hating iron for not being able to become steel, so she said calmly, it doesn't matter. Jiang Yingxiao slowly walked up to her. The man was still arrogant and stretched out his hand to her, welcome to join the group. Before, she was just a connection person who was forced in, but now, he recognized her ability. Ba bang bang, Suddenly there was applause at the door, everyone turned their heads and saw the RD manager and a dark-faced Wazichin walking in. The manager of the RD department praised, "Today's young people should not be underestimated. I never expected that Ms. Su's professional ability is so strong." Wazichin stared at Su Nange with complicated emotions in his eyes. Of course he knew Su Nange's talent in professional courses, and he had liked her for so many years not just because of her face, but he never expected that she could solve a group of core technical problems. If such a talent gives her the opportunity to further her studies, she will definitely skyrocket. His future achievements may not be weaker than those of Dr. Nan, but that is the future, and Dr. Nan will be beyond her reach in a short period of time. Wazichin clenched his fists and his eyes gradually became firm. He urgently needs to take control of the RD department and gain a foothold in the Hua group. He has no time to wait for her to grow. What's more, she is an illegitimate daughter. No matter in terms of status or ability, it is impossible for him to marry her. Suppressing the hesitation in his heart, he stared at Jiang Yingqiao sinisterly. I originally thought that if team leader Jiang couldn't complete the task on time, I would ask Dr. Xia and Nan to explain it to your group. The members of the group suddenly widened their eyes. Oh my God, Dr. Nan. If I can get guidance from Dr. Nan or work with Dr. Nan in my lifetime, that would be my ultimate dream. If I could meet Dr. Nan, I would rather be single for the rest of my life. Jiang Yingqiao listened to everyone's reaction and said stiffly, I won't bother Dr. Nan with this small problem. Wazichin said, Dr. Nan is our technical support, so he should help. Su Nange frowned slightly when he heard this. She clearly rejected Su Yin, so why did she become Hua Group's technical support? Judging from Wazichin's determined look, Su Yin must be lying again. Wazichin narrowed his eyes and continued, Team leader Jiang, actually I just want an assistant who understands technology, so I want to transfer Su Nange's position. You and I are the main force of the RD department, so there is no need for such a stalemate. As long as you agree, I will immediately arrange for Dr. Nan to provide you with technical support. He said this deliberately to let a group of people know that as long as Su Nange was handed over, he could give them access to Dr. Nan. Dr. Nan's attraction is too great for researchers like them. One group of members will definitely oppose Jiang Yingqiao's decision. Su Nange's face also darkened, feeling that Wazichin was extremely hateful. She looked at a group of staff and saw that their faces changed one by one. Obviously they understood what they meant. Everyone looked at each other, with tangled looks on their faces. Su Nange's eyes darkened. In fact, she had just joined the job. Although a group of members showed kindness to her last week, they had only known each other for a day and a half. Wazichin saw the looks on the faces of the group members and knew that his alienation plan had worked. He said again, Team leader Jiang, I wonder if you agree to let me go now. In fact, if Su Nange follows me, my future will be better. Jiang Yingqiao had a dark face and said firmly and directly, Don't let me go. Su Nange raised his eyelids slightly, a little surprised. Wazichin sneered, Our company has always been very democratic. You can't let you alone have the final say on a group's affairs. If you don't let people go, will the other members of the group agree? Does a group really not need Dr. Nan? After saying this, the members of the group fell silent. Jiang Yingqiao straightened his body and looked at the group of members angrily. Su Nange suddenly smiled. She originally didn't want to reveal her identity to avoid being entangled, but now she doesn't want to test her humanity for no reason. She looked directly at Wazichin and said coldly, You used Dr. Nan as a bargaining chip. Have you asked me if I agree? Chapter 38 Slap in the Face. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. Why are you asking? Wazichin said coldly, Su Nange, this is a personnel change of the Hua group, your personal wishes are irrelevant. What about Dr. Nan's opinion? Su Nange's tone was very calm, and his expression was mixed with sarcasm. Wazichin was stunned. What does Dr. Nan's opinion have to do with you? Could it be that she knows Dr. Nan? The smile on Su Nange's lips became even colder. I am. Before she could say the words Dr. Nan, Zhang Chao suddenly took a step forward and stopped in front of her. I listened to the team leader. Su Nange's pupils suddenly dilated and he looked at Zhang Chao in shock. The rest of the group laughed too and said, Yes, we all listened to the team leader. Su Nange looked at the group of members in disbelief. Just half an hour ago, they were attacking her for not doing her job well, but now, they stood by her without hesitation. Huazichin is not only the vice president of the RD department, but also the direct grandson of the He group. When he becomes powerful, how can these people who angered him still work in the He group? But they didn't think so much at all. Su Nan's voice was slightly choked, and a smile seeped into his eyes. Huazichin's face turned even darker. He suppressed his anger and sneered directly. It seems that your research and development pressure is still too small, so you don't need Dr. Nan's help. In this case, the finishing work of our project must be for you. It's not difficult to say, right? Submit the solution before get off work this Friday. The entire research and development progress is divided into two parts, with one group and two groups each responsible for one part. How to integrate it perfectly in the end is the biggest difficulty of the entire project. It would be no problem to hand it over to a group. Jiang Yingxiao would definitely be able to solve the problem in 2 or 3 months, but Huazichin only gave it a week. Jiang Yingxiao said angrily, "You are completely unreasonable." Huazichin said, "If Dr. Nan takes action, it can be done in 3 days. Don't you think you are so powerful that you don't need Dr. Nan? I'll give you 1 week, which is more than enough." That with these words behind him, he turned around and walked out. Su Nange's eyes dimmed. She followed him out of the office door and said, "Let's talk." Huazichin narrowed his eyes and the two of them came to the corridor. Su Nange looked at him. "Do you dare to make a bet?" These words put Huazichin in a trance. He thought that he had used this method to pursue her when he was a senior in college. He was full of enthusiasm and said to her, "Nange, do you dare to make a bet? Whoever finishes the graduation thesis first will agree to a condition." She looked at him with that childish look in her eyes, but finally nodded. Later, he stayed up for several all-nighters and successfully finished the paper. He went to her and offered her a gift at the graduation ceremony, asking her not to refuse, but in the end, his gift was not given. She was an illegitimate daughter, which made his 4-year pursuit look like a joke. Huazichin's expression gradually turned mocking, and he looked at Su Nange. "Why should I bet with you?" Su Nange used provocation. "Are you afraid of losing to me again?" Huazichin was stunned. Again. Su Nange took out his mobile phone, opened his mailbox and handed it to him. "At that time, I won." Huazichin looked at the email time on her phone and found that she submitted the paper the day after their bet. His pupils shrank. Only then did he realize that he had never caught up with her. The man's pride made him unable to help but ask, "What's the bet?" Su Nange said slowly, "Before get off work on Friday, if a group can submit a solution, but Dr. Nan does not give it to you, I hope you will never interfere with the work of a group in the RD department in the future. She is destined not to work here for a long time, so she has to help a group of employees solve their future worries." Huazichin sneered, "Then if you don't hand it over, but Dr. Nan gives me the solution, you will have to listen to me in the future. Make a deal." Seeing her unhesitating look, Huazichin asked in confusion, "Su Nange, I know you are very powerful professionally, but why do you think you can surpass Dr. Nan?" Su Nange laughed and sarcastically said, "Will Dr. Nan really help you solve your problem? Did he personally promise you that he will provide technical support for He group?" Huazichin was stunned. Su Nange ignored him. She returned to the RD department and found that everyone was sighing, but after seeing her, everyone immediately started winking and speaking deliberately. "Hey, actually Dr. Nan is not that desirable. He is a high-altitude god. Even if we meet him once, he can still make us chickens and dogs ascend to heaven. Yes, yes, can meeting me increase my IQ to 250? Su Nange, don't worry. The project is so difficult. Even if we can't finish it, what can Huazichin do to us?" That even Jiang Yingxiao coughed and said fiercely, "Okay. Didn't you see the new job coming? What are you gossiping about here? Why don't you hurry up and get to work? Come to the conference room and reassign the work." Coming. Su Nange watched everyone rush into the conference room and walked in slowly. Jiang Yingxiao seemed to be waiting for her. When he saw her coming in, he started arranging work. When it was time to get off work, Su Nange thought that everyone would have to work overtime, but he didn't expect that everyone packed up and left directly. Su Nange also took the computer and went to the underground parking lot. She didn't realize that after she left, the group of colleagues who had left came back one by one, to work overtime, underground parking lot. Bentley luxury car, Yi asked, "Boss, are you leaving?" "Not urgent." Hua Beiyan said calmly, still holding the thick information book in his hand. Yi was about to ask who he was waiting for when he saw Su Nange walking over and got into the car naturally. Hua Beiyan then raised his eyes, "Let's go." Yi. "It seems that the boss has not asked Miss Su to come off work with him, right?" The vehicle drove steadily on the road. Su Nange looked at Hua Beiyan and glanced at the book in his hand. He wanted to borrow it to check, but he thought of work. "Forget it, let's borrow it in 3 days." The two were silent all the way and soon returned to the hospital. As soon as she arrived at the VIP ward area on the 3rd floor, she heard Li Wanru's loud voice, "Old madam, I came here specially to see you. Speaking of which, we are really destined." Mrs. Hua blocked the door of the ward and glared at Li Wanru, "Get out. If you don't leave, I will have someone beat you." Li Wanru smiled apologetically, looking like a Philistine, "I am Su Nange's mother." "Old madam, don't you like her the most? For her sake, you shouldn't treat me like this. You are not her mother." Mrs. Hua said firmly, "Mrs. Su is her mother." As soon as these words came out, Li Wanru broke into a cold sweat and subconsciously asked, "How do you know?" Chapter 39 The Truth. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. Li Wanru was frightened. Only she and her brother Li Xingquan knew about her exchange. Even Su Yin, she never said it. How did Mrs. Hua know? And her words were clear, not doubtful at all, but with a tone of certainty. Seeing Su Nange and Hua Beiyan approaching, their eyes showed even more guilt. These two people probably didn't hear what she just said, right? Mrs. Hua snorted, "I just know that you are a bad woman for bullying my granddaughter-in-law," that the old lady's words don't match her words, and there's something wrong with her brain. Li Wanru breathed a sigh of relief, walked up to Su Nange, and handed the thermos bucket in her hand to her. "Nange, Mom is here to bring you chicken soup. You have worked hard to take care of the old lady. Eat more to supplement." The chicken soup in the thermos bucket was fragrant, but Su Nange only felt ridiculed. "This is the first time Li Wanru makes soup for her," she asked calmly. "What do you want?" Li Wanru smiled, "It's still Ining's 2% share. Mrs. Hua values you so much and helps you arrange a ward for Mrs. Su and find medicine for you. If you ask her, she will definitely agree to help your sister. Otherwise she wouldn't be able to hold her head up in front of Hua Zichen." Su Nange's eyes were cold, and his words were even less warm, "I won't help." Li Wanru's face stiffened and she couldn't pretend anymore. She looked at Su Nange fiercely, "Okay, I worked so hard to give birth to you, but then you climbed up to a high branch and became ruthless." She sat down on the ground and cried, "If you don't help me today, I won't get up. Come and take a look, everyone. My daughter is a white-eyed wolf. She dislikes me as a mother with a bad background, so she is here. I serve Mrs. Hua wholeheartedly and want to be my granddaughter." The surrounding medical staff and hospitalized patients began to point at them. "Miss Su looks very nice, but I didn't expect that she is this kind of person. I despise poverty and love wealth so much that I don't even recognize my own mother. This is really the only time I've seen her in my life." Su Nange stood there expressionless. "I really don't want to admit that this woman who is throwing around is her mother, but this relationship cannot be severed." A feeling of powerlessness came over me, Su Nange sneered and said calmly, "Come on, if you disturb others, the security will ask you to leave." After she said this, she walked past Li Wanru. Li Wanru was furious when she saw this, white-eyed wolf. "Little bitch." In anger, she stood up suddenly and poured the chicken soup in her hand at Su Nange. "Careful." Su Nange only heard this low voice, and immediately his whole back was hugged tightly by a strong embrace. She turned around in surprise and saw Hua Beiyan standing behind her, his broad back covering all the scalding chicken soup for her. There was steam billowing from the black suit. Su Nange's pupils shrank and he asked hurriedly, "How are you?" "Fine." The man frowned slightly and looked at Li Wanru. Li Wanru was frightened and waved her hands in panic. "Hua, Mr. Hua, I didn't mean to hurt you, I. In panic, she turned around and ran away, quickly disappearing on this floor. No one paid attention to her. Everyone gathered around Hua Beiyan and entered the ward. The little old lady immediately rushed to him and started to pull up his clothes. Take them off quickly, let me see how it is permed. Are there any blisters? Hua Beiyan calmly took off his suit and white shirt, revealing his strong chest. Su Nange subconsciously wanted to avert his gaze, but suddenly he saw that the burned area on his back was red and there were dense blisters. This is not nothing, it's clearly very serious. Oh, does it hurt? Wife-in-law, come and give him medicine. The little old lady took the scalding medicine from the nurse's hand, stuffed it into Su Nan's singer, pushed her behind Hua Beiyan, and called the others to go out. Let's stop hanging around here, the brat will be embarrassed if he takes off his clothes. As he said that, he came closer to Su Nange and whispered, my granddaughter-in-law, I leave it to you. Su Nange. There were only 2 people left in the ward for an instant. Embarrassment hung in the air. Hua Beiyan whispered, it's grandma who's making a fool of herself. I'll ask the nurse to come in. Let me do it. Su Nange interrupted him and walked up behind him. It was already dusk, and the golden light outside the window shone faintly into the house, lengthening the figures of the 2 people. Hua Beiyan stood in front of the window, and the halo of light shone through the window on his broad and sexy back. The waistband of his trousers outlined his slim waistline. With just one glance, Su Nange lowered his eyes. It was as if a pebble had been thrown into the lake, causing ripples. She put ointment on her fingertips and dabbed it on the burned area. The man made no sound from beginning to end. The moment the woman's fingertips came back to her skin, her muscles subconsciously tensed up. The girl's breathless breath sprayed on his back, as if there was a cluster of fire burning. Su Nange noticed his tension and asked softly, does it hurt? Hua Beiyan raised her eyes, and the window in front of her reflected the expression on her face. She looked serious, as if she were treating a priceless antique. His eyes were unconsciously attracted to her, and the corners of his mouth twitched slightly. It doesn't hurt. After a while, after the ointment was applied, Hua Beiyan put on a new shirt and fastened the buttons gracefully with his long and clean fingers. Thank you, Miss Su. You're welcome. Su Nange hesitated and raised his eyes to look at him. Actually, you don't have to block it for me. If you are injured, Grandma will be very sad. If you are hurt, Grandma will be even more sad. I am an outsider after all. The man's dark eyes looked at her steadily and said slowly, you forgot, you are my wife now. Su Nange's breath tightened, and the air around him seemed to become thinner because of Hua Beiyan's words. His heart beat irregularly, and his eyelashes like cattails trembled slightly. I'll go out for a while. Su Nange turned around and walked out. Hua Beiyan asked, what are you going to do? Revenge. Li Wanru didn't care about her no matter what, but if she hurt Hua Beiyan, she couldn't let it go easily. Su Nange came to Mrs. Su's ward and wanted to see if Li Wanru was here. Just as they were getting closer, they suddenly caught a glimpse of Su Yin and a man walking into the corridor ahead. That figure was wretched and sneaky. How could he look like his uncle Li Xinquan? She walked over doubtfully. In the corridor, Li Xinquan was rubbing his hands. Niece, uncle's money is a little tight. Su Yin suppressed her anger. I'll give you this month's pocket money. Li Xinquan is her nightmare. In the first year of junior high school, he suddenly came to her and told her that she was Li Wanru's daughter and asked her to give money, otherwise she would expose the matter to Su Wenzong and Mrs. Su. Li Xinquan was indifferent and said with a smile, I can't survive anyway. If you don't give it to me, I will go to Su Nange and tell her the truth. She will definitely give me a large sum of money. As soon as the words fell, the door was pushed open. Su Nange stood there with the light behind her, and her voice was cold. What's the truth? Chapter 40 Trading. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. Su Nange suddenly appeared, shocking Su Yin. She immediately looked at Li Xinquan, with panic in her eyes. Li Xinquan smiled slightly and was about to speak. Su Yin was the first to ask, Su Nange, why are you eavesdropping on us? Su Nange's eyes swept over her and Li Xing's bodies. Don't change the subject here. She looked at Li Xinquan. What's the truth? Her intuition told her that this truth was related to her. She added, I can give you money. Li Xingquan's eyes lit up. How much can you give? Su Nange looked at Su Yin and saw that she was clenching her sleeves tightly. Feeling nervous and panicked, she said calmly, you make a price, I can ask the Hua family for it. Li Xingquan's little eyes rolled around, and finally he looked at Su Yin with a smile. I think you are still not as rich as Su Yin, right? Su Yin immediately breathed a sigh of relief and said to Li Xingquan, I will find a way to give you the money you want, so you can go away. Li Xingquan chuckled, okay, I'll leave first. When he passed by Su Nange, he paused, niece, this secret of mine will be valid for you forever. As long as you can pay enough, I will definitely sell it to you. That with these words, he left happily. Su Nange looked at his back and narrowed his eyes. She took out her mobile phone and sent a WeChat message to Ji Ming, check up Li Xingquan. Ji Ming quickly replied, okay. Then he replied with another message, boss, there is an industry gathering tomorrow. The invitation letter has been sent to your mailbox. Will you go? Su Nange's answer was brief, I won't go. After sending the message, she looked up again and saw Su Yin walking past her with her head down. Su Nange said calmly, if you don't want others to know, you have to do it yourself. Do you think I can't find out what happened between you and Li Xingquan? Su Yin froze, then raised her head with a smile on her face. Nange, what are you talking about? I don't understand. No wonder as the eldest daughter of the Su family, you are so cautious about your money. You are giving him money every month. How much control does he have? Su Yin immediately retorted, what nonsense are you talking about? How can I be held by him? There was a fierce look in her eyes. Su Nange, if you have the energy, I advise you to think about your own way out and don't waste your time on me. Su Nange's face turned cold. Seeing that Su Yin was about to leave again, she asked, where is Li Wanru? Su Yin was furious when she heard this. That's your mother, you ask me how I knew. After Su Yin learned the truth from Li Xingquan, she kept hiding it from Li Wanru and pretended that she didn't know at all. That woman is so stupid. She was afraid that recognizing Li Wanru would expose her flaws. Therefore, Li Wanru had no idea that she already knew the truth about her life experience. Su Yin left these words and left directly. Su Nange followed her and came to Mrs. Su's ward together. Through the glass window on the door, you can see that Li Wanru is not in the ward. She went out and went downstairs without disturbing Mrs. Su. She called Li Wanru, where are you? Li Wanru's panicked voice came, Su Nange, what do you want to do? I want you to come back and apologize to Mr. Hua. Li Wanru's voice suddenly became sharp, I don't. Mr. Hua won't let me go. Please apologize for me, you are my daughter, mother's debt must be paid by daughter. Su Nange sneered, in that case, don't blame me for calling the police. Li Wanru roared angrily, why did you call the police? I am your mother. You are the one I want to beat. It is natural for a mother to beat her child. Su Nange's attitude was indifferent, but it was Mr. Hua you hurt this time. People always have to pay for their own mistakes. You unfilial daughter. If I had known you would treat me like this, I should have drowned you when you were born. Throw you into the manure pit. Sell you into a brothel. Little bitch. Su Nange didn't listen to what she said anymore and hung up the phone. If there was any dispute between the two people before, if they reported it to the police, it would only be judged as a domestic dispute, but this time is different. Li Wanru accidentally injured Hua Beiyan and was eventually sentenced to 48 hours of detention, plus a fine and medical expenses. But the Hua family doesn't care about that little money at all. After handling these matters, Su Nange returned to the little old lady's ward. Hua Beiyan was not in the room. The little old lady explained, I said there was an important meeting to be held, so I went downstairs in the RV. Su Nange nodded. She was silent for a moment and then said, Grandma, I'm sorry. But the little old lady waved her hand, my granddaughter-in-law, we are all a family, why are you talking about this? Besides, it's too late for me to be happy when I see that brat defending you. Su Nange was slightly stunned. Family. The world was full of chaos and people came and went, but she always knew that she had no home. But now, it seems like I really feel like home. Su Yin sold a bag in the second-hand market and collected 50,000 yuan to send it to Li Xingquan, and sent him a message, watch your mouth. Otherwise we won't all be in good stead. Li Xingquan's news came back quickly, niece, don't worry, even if I can't tell the distance, I can still tell who is richer, you or Su Nange. Su-in still felt uneasy. She must marry Hwazichin as soon as possible, so that even if her identity is exposed in the future, she will still be the young lady of the Hwa family. At 9 o'clock in the evening, Hwazichin suddenly came to see her. Su-in was surprised. Brother Zichin, why are you here? Hwazichin asked sternly. Dr. Nan, are you sure you have settled with him? Su Nange's words today made Hwazichin feel uneasy. Su-yin's eyes flickered. Of course. Then you arrange a meeting between me and Dr. Nan. Su-in clasped her fingers nervously. Dr. Nan has gone abroad. I will make arrangements when he comes back. Brother Zichin, do you have any problems that need to be solved? I will help you contact him. Hwazichin stared at Su-in suspiciously. I sent the problem to your email. You send it to Dr. Nan and let Dr. Nan help solve it. Okay, I'll pass it on to him right now. In order to prove what she said, Su-in used her mobile phone and immediately sent the email. Dr. Nan usually replies to my messages within seconds. Brother Zichin, please wait a moment. In the VIP ward, Su Nange's cell phone vibrated. She took it out and glanced at it, and found that it was an email sent to her by Mrs. Su. Shao Nan, can you help solve this problem? Su Nange guessed something. She opened the attachment and found that it was indeed a technical problem of the Hwa group. This Su-in actually asked Mrs. Su for help in her name. Su Nange sneered and replied to the message. Drop. The email notification sounded, and Su-in breathed a sigh of relief. Look, Dr. Nan responded quickly to me, he replied to the message. Then, Su-in opened the email.